I think first of all, AI will be able to help us cleaning data because what AI needs is a context. What is this data coming from? If you explain AI, this data is coming from this system and can be used to make this and that demand, supply decision, or it's a parameter for the product A, B, etc. AI will be able to frame an information that is valid. Okay, and that's why I think right now the focus on supply chain with AI is more on to giving context to those data, having and get a lot of data, master data scientists, and also make sure that the whole supply chain is digital, also aware, that
Mhm.
are literate in those digital, these new tools, so they are able to also participate and help those master data teams into advance on this feature that are going to revolutionize supply chain.
Hello, welcome everyone. We have a new episode of our Gold Secret podcast, and today we have a very special guest with us, Guillaume. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Very well, Guillaume. Yeah, nice to meet you,
Gui,
Miguel.
Guillaume. Okay, I will try my best. Where this name came from?
It's French. It's
It's
basically very French. It's
very
William in
French.
English. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, myself as Miguel, I've been named in many different ways. Miguel, Michael. When I was working in Belgium, they called me Miguel with the U. So different kind of spellings. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. Well, typically we structure these episodes in three main blocks. The first block is for some quick questions that you should try to answer in, if possible, in one word only, or
Okay.
very short sentences. Just only that's a very quick part of the episode, and that will help us as an icebreaker to know you a bit better. Then we go into the main part of the conversation where we have time to explore and discuss about any topics related to pharma distribution and cold chain and whatever. And the last part of the episode is this podcast is named Gold Secret. So we will expect you to share any challenge or uh, difficult situation that you have overcome during your career.
Okay.
Okay. Um, well, let's start with the quick questions. What's your name?
Guillaume,
Your age?
38.
We are almost same age. I'm becoming 38 in August. So,
In July.
ah, okay. You were born same, uh, you are same age than Lionel Messi. Maybe this,
Oh yeah, exactly.
I'm always say it's I'm so close to Messi in terms of age, not in terms of football skills.
We are complementary with Messi. Yeah.
Exactly. Which country do you live?
Switzerland,
And if you could live anywhere else in the world, where would it be?
Norway.
In Norway. Why?
I love Norway. I love the nature.
Okay, it's because of the nature. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Are you married?
Yes, two kids.
To kids? Okay. What's your favorite cartoon character,
Speedy
if you have
Gonzalez.
any?
I don't know. It's the first one that came to my mind.
Yeah, typically the first one is the right one. Are you a sea or a mountain person?
Difficult to say. I would say both. I'm sorry. I love both so much. Yeah. That's why I live in Lausanne, because there is sea and mountains.
Okay, it's well, kind of same in Barcelona. We have the seaside, and like 2 hours drive, we are also in the Pyrenees. So it's
Mhm.
quite a convenient location. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
Apple. I love Apple.
Apple. Oh,
I don't know if I will survive from Apple, but
okay. At least during during the time that you will remain alive, then you will be happy.
I will. Exactly.
Okay, best book or movie that you have ever read or watched?
Gattaca is my first favorite movie. It's about talking about exceeding your expectation, exceeding your goal, and moving to your best. Do you know this movie? Yeah.
No, no, but actually, I'm planning to take a few days off in August, so that's noted in my to-do list now.
Cool. Yeah. It's with Jude
Um,
Law. Yeah. Jude
nice.
Law. Yeah.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly
Like Superman.
to move fast and enjoy the view.
Okay, if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would you choose?
Probably Isaac Newton
Like
is one
Newton.
of my yeah favorite scientists. Very dedicated to his mission in life.
Nice. I mean, I studied physics, so Isaac Newton is also one of my top figures, historical figures, I would say. If you could time travel, uh, which where would you go? Which period of the lifetime?
Probably early 20th century, just before the machine took over the world, just to see some interesting places like Japan or other places that were untouched before, where the culture is so present.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, just before the mondialization kick and globalization kicked our world, so you could enjoy a bit the culture in
The
every country.
specific culture not influenced by so many globalization. Yeah, interesting.
My grandfather was in the navy, so he
Uh-huh.
was traveling back then in those country, and he brought back picture from those country extremely interesting. Yeah, so that's why.
Yeah, probably next episode we should invite your grandfather.
He's not there anymore, but I can bring the postcard.
No, no, very interesting. Uh, okay, so you survived to all the different quick questions.
Okay.
Maybe last one, Guillaume. If you have to describe yourself in one sentence, how would you do it?
So I'm very curious guy, very social, that love to tackle challenges.
Okay, yeah, good and open description, let's say. Um, Perfect. So now we are entering in the second phase of the conversation. Um, after this icebreaker. Uh, and we would like to understand a bit more about who Guillaume is, what's your career overview, and okay, why your opinion for this podcast is relevant to our audience. So, can you please share with us a bit of your background and career expertise?
Yes, so I have about 15 years of supply chain experience. I started my supply chain expertise or journey in Saint-Gobain 15 years ago as an intern in lean manufacturing. I then moved to and work in India for a year before joining Airbus for 3 years as a
Mhm.
vendor management. And then I moved in 2015, so 10 years ago, into pharma industry where I stayed for the past 10 years, basically. As I was in different departments there, in planning, in CMO management, and lastly,
Mhm.
for the past almost 3 years, in value chain management.
Okay, and have you experience major differences between, for instance, your experience at Airbus versus the pharma industry?
Both are very regulated environments. I will say that in Airbus, I was closer to the workshop, uh, the shop floor, and
Hmm.
I was traveling a lot in Asia, developing new suppliers or existing suppliers. In the pharma industry, it's more silo oriented. So either you're in planning or you are in CM organization or you're in value chain and you work with all the other departments. In Airbus, you kind of, it's more horizontal uh,
Hmm.
kind of working environment. In the pharma, and it depends on the size of the company, it's more vertical, and then you have to apply cross-functional skills.
And do you like more one architect, one organization structure more than the other, or you don't have any preference at all?
I think both works fine. What I like about Airbus is that I was close to the shop floor, so I could see with my eyes and not via an email any defect on the line and discuss directly with the vendor via the visit what could be the mitigation plan.
Okay. And you had during your career, you have some leadership positions. Um, which are the things that you will identify as the most relevant um, moments in your career, especially when dealing with people or some breakthrough changes or projects that you have been working on?
In, s- I think in supply chain is the most important skills is communication and influence skills. And it's not influence in the sense that you influence your thinking. It means that you are listening before leading, and with good listening, it's a good learning as well. You are not an expert in any. You don't have expertise in quality, regulatory, but you need to learn what needs to be relevant to the business, right? And then
Mhm.
only if you listen, learn, you can lead.
Okay, so learning as a first item of leadership position.
Yeah, listening and learning, I think, are very important. Yeah.
Yeah. For instance, at Truecaller, what I'm always saying to my team, I'm always open if you can share any input or ideas. At the same time, the final decision it's on me. So I would say it's always a balance between being open to learn and listen, but also having the ownership and leverage to take decisions and not be
Exactly.
distracted by yeah, which is something that I myself I've seen in so many big organizations that listening is working quite well, but the ownership and the decision taking, especially on big corporations, is not the most agile thing ever.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm curious to understand, looking back to the different positions that you mentioned, how this transition move from the shop floor position uh, to your latest position, more strategic. How that has evolved your view in the supply chain.
At the beginning of my career in a lean manufacturing environment, I was more respecting the processes. It's pretty uh, strict and rigid processes, how to move from identifying a problem to resolving it.
Mhm.
And towards today, in a value chain or more strategic, where we are looking at using different processes cross function, we are also I also learned that we can reshape processes, and it's important because we are in evolving environments. You need to be able to criticize or challenge the statu quo on certain processes to reshape them in the sense that it serves the business. It's
Mhm.
very important to be open, but have also the experience through different departments in supply chain or cross functions, being able to to explain and to propose solutions for the business.
Yeah, and now it came to my mind when you mentioned about reshaping processes. And for the last, I would say, 10 years, everyone is talking about digitalization of processes, which is key. I mean, I'm absolutely in. And that's basically my business, is digitalizing certain processes. But I'm always saying that a bad process, when it became digital, it turns out to be a bad digital process. So it's not by the fact of making one process digital that it's better by default. So
Hmm.
the starting point is how we should reshape this process so that makes sense and align with the different technical functionalities which are evolving so rapidly. So it's not focusing on the technology itself, but more on the operations, on the workflow, and that's something quite important in my opinion.
Exactly. And we are talking supply chain about exceptions, right? We talk about agility. Supply chain is all about exceptions. Exception is the rule. I don't know if it's the same in English, but in French we also say exceptions is the rule. It means that all the time you have differences. So being
Mhm.
able to incorporate those exception in the process, and we will touch on a few examples later, uh, that's important. So you need to be agile, but you need to be able to challenge your current processes to be able to absorb more exceptions.
Yeah, it should be strict because you mentioned also it's in a regulatory environment, so
Okay.
there is no completely freedom about doing whatever you want to do. Uh, but at the end, being able to manage those exceptions in an agile and quick response way, it's key for success. Um, I would like to ask you because you have been involved in the in Airbus and also in the pharma industry. Have you seen any connections or recurring challenges in both industries that, in theory, they are so different from a first perspective, but there are some shared goals or common challenges that you have seen in both industries?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, regulatory is definitely one of the biggest challenges with quality and obviously safety. Both are in both industry they are very important
Mhm.
topics. We always say quality first, safety always, or vice versa. It's very important. Uh, this is this is key. The only difference within aeronautics and pharma is that within aeronautics you are regulated among the way you manufacturing the parts. Okay, it's not locally regulated. In pharma, it is locally regulated. And the challenge is almost every market. There is some region that share some regulatory uh, framework, but mostly all countries have their own health authorities and regulatory agencies. So you have to meet these regulatory and compliance requirements, and that's a bigger challenge, I would say, for pharma than aerospace. Yeah,
Yeah, so it also prevents some processes scaling. So we are losing because if there are some specificities related to each country, then you cannot define or decide to manufacture at scale in a certain location and then distribute all over the world, because
exactly.
then you need to adjust to certain specific criteria for each country or market.
Exactly. So from product development, you need to meet certain specification that will meet a maximum of country. Otherwise, you will have different manufacturing process, which obviously increase the cost and the complexity of supply chain.
Yeah, it increased definitely the complexity, and you can face some stockouts or bottlenecks in production. How with
What comes with
this
complexity comes with natural stockout risk.
exactly? So especially in the pharma industry where this complexity is in place, based on your experience, which are some strategies that could be implemented in order to prevent or reduce the risk for this stockout crisis, or how to manage the manufacturing in different, basically, how can we reduce the risk to ensure that the supply is never interrupted?
Uh, Supply chain is made of um, material flow, but I think nothing moves if you don't have a good communication flow, good governance. It's extremely important. And you need to be able to, one communication and one governance flow doesn't serve every product or every supply chain the same. Some countries have more difficulties in more challenging towards the logistics, some other in regulatory, or some certain time of the year you have to respond differently. So you have to adapt your governance and your communication within the supply chain differently in time, as per the time of the year or the product or the processes. So you need to be able to, and that's where maybe we can think again of the processes, because it's not only manufacturing processes but also the way we manage communication flow. We need to be able to shape and change and adapt our governance and communication as per the need, the supply chain need.
Yeah, in terms of streamlined communication, supply chain is about communicating between different partners. And most of the partners are not in our own company, but they are external partners. So
Exactly.
there are the logistics companies, mm, I mean, multiple. So it's not about moving one product from A to B, but also transferring the information from A to B in the right format, in the right time, and etc. Because if you get a product and there is no information attached to this product, then it's kind of useless. Imagine that you receive a pallet in front of your warehouse, but you don't know where this pallet is coming from, who is the sender, who is the receiver. You don't know basically anything, then this pallet becomes useless. So it's a way to
Absolutely.
ensure the material flow and the data flow related to this material.
You know, in supply chain, we have this tool called value stream mapping, and usually we are working on uh, this material flow, making sure we map it properly. What I found super interesting, it's important, I don't say it's not important, but what is extremely important is to also map the information and communication flow and understand who needs which information and when. This
Mm.
is so critical because only then the goods can move from A to B. Otherwise, it doesn't. It can be ERP, it can be digital, AI, or whatever, but you need to understand first where to put the connection because the AI is not going to move if you don't tell them.
Yeah, exactly. At least right now, AI is only doing what we ask them to do. It's not.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Um, can you share with the audience and also with me any a specific situation where you have overcome uh, this stockout crisis or some supply chain constraints that seems to be quite embarrassing situation, and for by implementing some value stream mapping or any other methodology that you were able to overcome that situation?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have plenty of example within my career, but since we're in cold chain podcast, maybe I can share one specific to the cold chain issues. We had one time a temperature excursion that can happen, obviously, when you move one product from one location in that are restricted in temperature to another.
Mhm,
And we had something that typically doesn't occur, but we had both sensors that fail at the same time. Maybe it was linked. We don't know exactly what happened, but both failed. Um, and we had a third one, which is the track sensor that still recorded the temperature, so we still had a backup. And what happened is that we deviated a bit from the range, that
mhm,
registered range. So we had to quickly discuss within the team with regulatory quality what could be the mitigation. So first, the we usually we discard the batch, but in that sense, we were going to have a stockout if we were discarding the batch. So what we found out is that some of the country accepted within the different temperature range. So we could allocate those batches just for those countries that accepted this temperature range. And that's it's where the data the way you store the data and the way it's available for the supply chain is so important, because in our data, it was not shown that we could possibly supply to those countries. It's only in a regulatory file that we found out that some country could accept this batch beyond certain temperature. So it's very important to keep data accurate also in our system, so we can also respond faster. So we did, of course, with a bit of lag, and that's where we can, again, I'm back to the process, adapt our process, make sure that it's a learning not for our case, but the whole organization, that we have to maintain those data accurate and valid
Mhm.
at all time for the organization to be able to find quick mitigation plan. In pharma, our product has a certain shelf life, so you need to react fast. Otherwise, you have to discard it, not because of the temperature excursion, but because it reached the shelf life of the product. So you need to react fast.
Yeah, interesting. So it's how you reallocated some assets, some products to different countries that were, let's say, the regulatory and compliance were more flexible in that sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's interesting, especially in cold chain. There are different type of sensors. You mentioned in your example that those two loggers failed for any reason, and you rely on the information coming from the track itself. And it's always these kind of challenges, like companies work with sensors coming from any brand, so sensors from the own farm organization, then we have the sensor of the track, then if we ship by plane, then we have another type of sensors, and all this data, how to manage all this data together and how to combine it
exactly.
becomes a real challenge in order precisely to make these kind of decisions. Like maybe we cannot supply country A, but we can ship it to country B, and then still we are good and we can save that product.
Yeah, exactly. So the sensor were in our control, but the truck sensor was not in our control. So we had to ask the the logistic
Yeah,
company to provide
logistic
us
partner to provide the data, and in order that you
exactly.
can make your analysis.
Also explain that these sensors are qualified and meet are able to monitor the temperature, etc. So it's a lot of work, but if you integrate that in your processes, that you can use those backups, so you can they are qualified. If you need, you can ask them. So all these processes need to be already incorporated to be able to save time. You can always be able to find a solution, but time is very important in supply chain. It's very important, critically, especially if you have an expiry challenge, right?
Product expiring soon. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And I would even ask you, imagine that you would have the information from the track directly received in your system. You mentioned that the sensor from the track is already qualified, it meets all the necessary requirements. Why do you need then the your own sensors? Then your own sensors may not even be needed if you can collect information directly from the track.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean it's because we own this sensor, so that's the thing. And the fact that you have multiple sensor, if one or both fails, if that's the case, you need backup plan. And that's
Mhm.
really important in the concept of supply chain. You always need to fall on one of your feet. You cannot only rely on one leg, right? To walk, you need both legs. And when you are aging, you even need another help to be able to walk. So the more fragile you are, the more, especially on certain location, the more with experience you learn that having backup are vital.
Yeah, okay, clear. Well, we've briefly mentioned before about new digital technologies, and I've seen that you are pursuing an executive certificate in business, in digital business. Is that correct?
Yes, at IMD, it's located in Lausanne. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, what have you learned so far there? Which are the different perspectives that this program gave you?
So it's 3 time 1 week, approximately through 2 years. So I
Uh-huh.
can take it's yeah few days within those 3 years that I can take. And the first module was about strategic supply chain leadership. So we had people from very CEO and board of directors coming and explaining their vision of sustainability, end-to-end supply chain, uh, and um, and other extremely interesting opinion from Industry 4.0 and the future of the supply chain. So that's extremely interesting, and I think where I've learned is that a certain operation or certain processes will be with AI fully automated, and some other will need still our expertise, but more in reshaping how the process should look like, um, and shape those tools that AI will work on. I think, for instance, good receipt, good issue will be fully automatized, but something that more intelligent that are required, like AI demand sensing, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
require a lot of data, is extremely complex. So, and can learn. That's the good thing about generative AI is that it can really, and machine learning, it can really learn from exceptions and data, a large bank of data that a human brain cannot absorb.
Cannot
So that
process.
could also take those elements into consideration and shape a demand. You can think of an event that are in the news, maybe in the local news of a market, that the company doesn't have necessarily detected and can shape the demand, or data from other uh, pharmacy, or how much they sell, to have really visibility on the stock at the pharmacy level or local market, to be able to predict when they will order and how much. So really the demand from AI will definitely be a revolution, and that will ease also the supply chain and how we replenish our supply chain.
Mhm.
I'm thinking also in terms of process mining and process automation,
Uh-huh.
the way we work and the way we work across functions. AI will be able to map those interactions and propose some processes moving forward. I think that will be interesting to have from AI suggestion how we could work better based on the way we are working today. So the email interaction or Teams interaction or chat interaction or meeting as per the minutes, and what and really identify the inefficiency in the way we operate in a project or in a process, and suggest to eliminate or do it differently the governance or communicate earlier on certain topics. I think that will be extremely valuable from an AI standpoint. And obviously, we were touching on digital twins. So it's a dream for many years. Some organizations, very simple supply chain, are able to digital to build digital twins. I think with AI we will be able to actually create a real digital twins, because they are able to simplify complex supply chain now, and be able to map and get the data in the right order, right? I think that's the control tower. Digital twins will be a revolution from AI.
My feeling in that sense, yeah, is that there is no we are facing a challenge, but it's not a technical challenge in itself. It's more a mentality challenge. I'm convinced that the technology is already there, even for more complex operation, like digital twins or
Yeah,
streamlined processes. Is what is required is more a change in the, first of all, in the regulatory. So we need to trust and make a trustworthy AI, so that the output of any AI generated system can be 100% trusted. That's one key concern that, especially in the pharma industry, is key. Imagine that we make an assessment of a batch and the AI says, okay, it's good to deliver, and then we are damaging, I don't know how many patients. That's unacceptable. Um, so first is regulatory and trustworthy AI, but even more important than that, because we are quite close to achieve that goal in terms of technical development, is more a change of mentality. Uh, Based on well, what I've seen in my experience is quality departments, for instance, or supply chain uh, operations within pharma companies, they are still working in a very traditional way. Uh, you mentioned, for instance, digital twins and control towers, but that's, I mean, based on my experience, and maybe that's different based on your career, it's not the common practice yet. I mean, they have control tower has been uh, around for so many years. But I mean, when you look at the reality of how pharma companies work and operate, most of them, they have not real-time information. They are working with async information, a lot of email exchange. If they want to know where a track or product or batch is located, they call someone, hey, where that is. So we are still, so even more important, I think that the technology is evolving 10 times more rapidly that organizations, especially big organizations, are able to adapt or embed within their systems. And I'm more and more convinced that it's not an option anymore, because if you are not competing with the same tools, and uh, then at some point you will not be competitive and someone is going to overcome you.
No, I totally agree. And one of the problem in supply chain is that we usually don't trust in data, right? We have an issue with data. And with AI, so there's a huge debate on AI because you feed with bad data or whatever. I think first of all, AI will be able to help us cleaning data, because what AI needs is a context. What is this data coming from? If you explain AI, this data is coming from the system and can be used to make this and that demand, supply decision, or it's a parameter for the product A, B, etc. AI will be able to frame an information that is valid. Okay, and that's why I think right now the focus on supply chain with AI is more on to giving context to those data, having and get a lot of data, master data scientists, and also make sure that the whole supply chain is digital, um, uh, also aware, that
Mhm.
are literate in those digital, these new tools, so they are able to also participate and help those master data teams into advance on this feature that are going to revolutionize supply chain. Mhm.
Absolutely. So that's also part of your program, right? Of your digital business program,
Yes, absolutely.
trying to change the mindset of the new generation of digital leaders to evolve that mindset and consider technology as a facilitator, not as a risk or something that you cannot trust on.
Absolutely, absolutely. We tend to be negative in general, but I think it's going to be a positive. It's
It's
going
quite
to create
human
so much
at some
of
point.
Sorry?
It's quite human. I say that our first reaction is, no, I don't trust. I don't need it. We have been operating like that for 10 years. Why do we need to change? But yeah, that's
That's why
the
you need to get your supply chain mindset, because supply chain mindset is everything is possible. Just need the people and the eager to move forward.
absolutely. Um, another point, Jaume, is in supply chain, we need to balance out two main topics. One is efficiency, operational efficiency, and the other one is regulatory and compliance. Yeah, so those two should be tied together. Um, how are you able to match, especially thinking about cold chain operations, this regulatory framework and compliance with the efficiency required in any supply chain? Because that I can imagine it's a challenge, like how make those two worlds fit.
Yeah, I think you have to understand first of all your GDP regulations, your chain of custody, traceability, what is required from every market and every industry, and they are evolving. So you need to be able to monitor any change as well. Uh, it's a real challenge because again, every market has their own requirement and their own challenges. So again, standardization of product is not helping. So if I think carefully of what needs to be changed in the supply chain, the way we have to adapt to that is from the development of a product directly. You need to look at not only obviously having the right molecule for the patients or in pharma, for instance, but also look at where you will differentiate your product within your manufacturing process so it impacts it's the most least complex way to manufacture. At the end, regulatory agency and regulatory internal regulatory people needs to understand that the least complex to manufacture, the best way we are going to serve our patients. So it's very important to develop a product that fits not only the patient but also the way we manufacture our product internally.
So it's starting, no, or thinking from the manufacturing step, how this manufacturing process may impact the whole supply chain distribution.
Exactly,
Like
and
to,
be able to think of scalability. Uh, Most of the time when we develop a product is for one market. The company has one market in mind. But if it's successful, probably you are going to look for other markets. So you need to think of you are serving one market that require certain requirement from a product development standpoint, but think carefully before you fix and buy the machine and equipment to manufacture this product, because you are not going to probably make it the same for another market. So you need to be able to scale your production for other market as well. It's very key from product development. From the and problem in the product development is supply chain people are usually not part of it. So that's why bringing some supply chain understanding to those regulatory people or product development teams or technical teams, quality teams is extremely important.
yeah, that's a very old problem. The organizations working in silos, so manufacturing takes care of manufacturing, while supply chain takes care of supply chain, and quality does their own stuff. But at the end of the day, they are all connected. They need to talk to each other. Yeah, indeed. I would like to touch upon very briefly a topic about cold chain monitoring and cold chain data innovations. Um, I mean, we are talking now to many different companies. Most of them either they have already transitioned to real-time monitoring or they are in the process of doing it. Uh, have you experienced any kind of transitions, or do you have any opinion or any experience that you would like to share in that sense?
So I left the CMO organization at the time they were actually installing those IoT, real-time IoT sensors. So I cannot really tell more about it, but I know that the next step moving forward will be probably predictive alerts. So based on trends, on the temperature, predict that there's a risk that it goes outside the range. Because the problem right now is still like, even if it's real time, you gain time in solving potential issues and quality problems, but you still have a quality problem. So the real game changer will be to be able to predict a potential temperature exertion and to be able to, I don't know, reroute or alert the partner, or directly the partner can be alerted so he can take the necessary precaution for the temperature to not move beyond the range of temperature.
For instance, if something I wanted to share with you, one of the latest features we are developing at Truecaller is a risk score ratio. So for any shipment before it departs, we have classified with a risk score based on the route, based on the logistics supplier, based on the packaging concept. And that combined with our historical information, we can say, okay, this shipment is going to be 100% safe because we have sent like 1,000 shipments without any excursion, or otherwise, please better switch or change this logistics supplier, this logistic partner, because for that specific route, it's having like 30% excursions for that specific route. And then we are trying to anticipate even before the shipment departs, because while the shipment is in transit, as you mentioned, real time helps you to react faster. But there is not that much that you can do if you have an excursion in the middle of the sea, or if there is an excursion where the truck is riding. So it's better to anticipate, not only to detect real time, but also trying to predict before the shipment start if that's the best combination of the best risk evaluation for that specific
Mm.
shipment. So
Yeah,
that's something we are now testing. It's in beta phase with a few customers, but so far it's giving very good insights, and we have potentially saving interesting materials there.
very good.
Um, can you talk about a specific instance where the innovation prevented a major loss or disruption?
I don't know if it's about innovation in that sense, but we predicted kind of capacity limitation in one of the warehouse during the
Huh?
transportation of a product with the planning tools and capacity constraint tool, and we basically understood that they were exceeding 100%. So if we were shipping those cold chain product into their warehouse, they will be potentially waiting outside the time they are reorganize their warehouse. So we proactively gave the information that we are going to ship this cold chain product. It's not ambient storage or whatever, so you have to use this space. And their feedback was that they are not able to reallocate properly. So we took the decision to reroute the the, the transportation via another way, and only thanks to this visibility into the constraints that we could reroute. Otherwise, um, so it's kind of an innovation in the sense that we having your constraints map properly is very important. So you can predict where you could be constrained within your supply chain.
Hmm, exactly. It's starting from the constraints. So because most of the ERPs, they work based on the assumption of unlimited capacity, which is really not
Exactly.
true. I'm thinking SAP, you can ship as much as you want, and there is no constraint, or by default, there is no constraint on capacity or temperature or whatever. You ship it there, and then you realize, oh, it doesn't fit. But that's
Certain
maybe already
ERP
too late.
now, yeah, certain ERP or advanced planning system are able to map those constraints. So they are very important, and very important to also feed them with the right data, because your constraints are linked to obviously your asset capability, but also your resource capability and your calendar. So if you don't have those, your calendar resource with shifts, how many people per shift do you have, and based on holidays and potential sickness of your operators, and understand properly what are your asset capability and not match what are your utilization 80 to 100% to be able to understand where you could have a risk of exceeding the, the capacity of your warehouse in general
Hmm.
are extremely valuable. And it's an innovation that is there for a decade at least. But I haven't, I rarely saw it maintain those data in a right way, especially for those, they are well maintained for those high used asset or critical nodes. But I
Hmm.
think AI may, again, help us to define the right constraint for every asset in the future. It's an innovation, I think, that's still ongoing to be to be better used in the future.
Okay. We have been discussing about different challenges or different mindsets to be changed. Uh, let's flip the coin and make it positive. Instead of highlighting the challenges, let's make a proposal. With all the different technologies that we have available, Guillaume, we discussed quite extensively about the different AI innovations. How good the digital supply chain may looks like, or how an ideal digital supply chain may look like, and you have completely freedom to choose any other tools and technologies to place them around. Can you describe in a few minutes how this digital supply chain may be ideal, in your opinion, and how can we make it better?
Um, I mean, we touched already on predictive analytics in general, so
Hmm.
that's one of them, obviously. I think what we haven't touched yet is on the sustainability piece, which we touched already in strategic supply chain, because it's going to be more and more important, obviously, not for only the customer, the patient, but it's more for the society and what the company wants to deliver to the world, right? So it's kind of, I call it more a mandate towards our to ourselves. Every company, every professional, and every patient will have to get in their mind, in their DNA, the fact that we need to be sustainable. So again, from product development, the way you design your products needs to fit more a circular supply chain.
Hmm.
It's not horizontal in one way, but more a loop. We have been again dreaming about this for ages, but I think now it's kind of getting more and more in our DNA to build and design product that can be returned and recycled, reuse, etc. Right? So that's very important. In terms of AI, I think autonomous warehouse is going to be the norm moving forward. There is some country that are moving with autonomous vehicles in the future for logistic reason. I think that's extremely interesting to see it uh, moving forward, especially in as you when you it's holiday season nowadays, right? So it's when you see the endless trucks on the highway and the whole year basically, but especially when you are taking the highway, you can see those trucks everywhere. You may think that yeah, there is an impact also on the from a sustainable standpoint, but so there is something to be done also from there and be able to be more reliable in terms of transportation lead time and be able to reroute our trucks if there is an issue on the road, and that's going to be the future of it.
Interesting. It's how we are reshaping the digital supply chain, also with a focus on the sustainability, with the sustainability perspective. And here there is a one topic that we see very firsthand is, for instance, when we are talking about cold chain, is about the trackers, the temperature trackers. 70% of them right now, they are single use, meaning that when they reach the destination, they are basically reaching their end of their life,
Mm-hmm.
and they are generating waste. And there is no circular process to reuse them. That's for 70%. But now we see that more and more companies are adapting or adopting reusable trackers that they can, like a mobile phone that they can reload and plug it in and they reuse it again. So it's also how technology may help us to reduce the environmental impact and achieve our sustainability goals. That's also
Oh, we
quite
were already using reusable sensors, so we were already good.
perfect. Perfect. Yama, do you have any other topic that you would like to share with us before we start the main challenge of the podcast?
Go ahead.
Okay. Uh, well, so basically, at the end of those episodes, we are asking our guest invite to share with the audience any the major challenge that they have overcome or any secret that a shareable secret, let's say. Um, and any challenge or any difficulty that you have that you were able to overcome doesn't need to be necessarily related to cold chain. It's in general about supply chain distribution. Uh, and the idea is that we will rank all the different challenges for the different guest invites, and the one that ranks the top will get something. To be honest, I have not decided
Sensor.
exactly what's going to be the award. But okay, yeah, being based in Barcelona, that's maybe a good location to deliver the award. Let's see.
Okay. I think one of the biggest challenges for supply chain and organization in general is more about the decision
Mhm.
decision line. So having we talk about governance, communication, and all. What is it about at the end, or the leadership skills? What is it about at the end of the day is taking decision. So it's different. These different problems that lead to not taking a decision. First of all, we talk about not trusting the data, right? So we need to have right data. We need to have the right governance, the right communication, but empower the right people to take the decision. So it's not only about the top supply chain VP to take every decision. So every member of a supply chain needs to know which decision they are empowered to take. And that's where the RACI, responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed are playing a vital role and it needs to be understood by every member in the supply chain. Okay? And then we talk about roles and responsibilities. So there's a lot we've seen in supply chain duplicated effort in certain area where because of communication, some people in quality will work on the same problem than people in regulatory and not communicate together to be able to be more efficient. Be able to understand who is working on what, who is able to support you in resolving an issue is also very important. So it's very important to understand how the organization work in moving the flow of goods. Who can support the person in moving the flow? In a lot of your emails, in supply chain emails, and if supply chain people see that, you will understand. In maybe 60 or 70% of your email is about looking for the right person to solve your problem. So
Yeah,
it's a ping pong. Who can help me with this? Who can me work on that? So having communication and governance are extremely key to be more efficient and take the right decision at the right time because supply chain is also about time. Is
it's
necessary
about the
about time.
speed. Yeah,
Speed. Otherwise, the working capital is not positive, and your finance and commercial are not going to be happy. And lastly is, I think, moving to this AI age, uh, digital literacy is key. You may not work directly with AI, but we are going to use it indirectly. So being able to understand how AI works, how it can help you, make some suggestions to the master data team are also very important because the master data team can help you solve your problems and be able to be more efficient. So there's a bright future for supply chain. It's going to be different, but you need to understand how it's going to be impacting your role in supply chain. So
Very
that's
aligned.
a challenge also that we
Very
are,
aligned.
a very exciting challenge that we are in right now with AI. So,
Yeah. I've been taking notes during our conversation, and I think you very well summarize it. I have like three words that can summarize all the conversation. Is clear RASI and ownership for decision taking, communication between different silos in the to prevent silos within the organization, and is the change of mindset for technology adoption. So those are the key three topics or
mhm.
messages. If we are able to transmit or share with the audience those three messages, then our job is done for this
Yes.
time. Thank you, Guillaume. It was a great pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you,
Um,
Miguel.
do you do you have anyone in mind that you think can be interesting to join us in that forum?
You mean to interview in the future?
Yeah, can join the Cold Secrets in the future as guest invite. Do you have anyone in mind?
Yes. I'm thinking of Tico Buenwick. He's a high and very experienced supply chain person that I know.
Okay, noted down. Noted down. Thank you, Guillaume. Great pleasure again. Enjoy your summer and keep in touch.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Bye bye.